Hello and welcome to From Impossible to Inevitable. This is episode 184. I, of course, am your host, Megan Bauer. Thank you so much for joining me and pushing play on today's episode. Today, I bring you my thoughts on a conversation that I had with my husband in the car on the way we were going down to St. George for the weekend. We did a very quick weekend trip. And as we were going down, we got talking about different things. And I don't want to really bring up the context because it's really messy. But the thing was we got on this discussion of being good enough. I have talked about being good enough on the podcast before, and I still stand by those thoughts, but there are two sides to this good enough coin, and both of them are really important, and both of them require context. Both of them require that it doesn't just stand alone, I think. But if you were to just stop here and not listen to anything else that I said, if you were to just stop here, I would err on the side of you are good enough. That's where I would err on the side of. That's what I would want people to take away from the podcast, honestly, to take away from anything, to take away that would be what I would want people to operate by from this place of being good enough. Because that's an empowering place. That's a place where you can do something with it. That's a place where, you put yourself forward. That's a place where you've got something to work with. You have yourself to work with because with that belief that you are good enough, you can move forward. You can go places. And we're on a journey here. We're on this journey. We are growing every single day. We're continually evolving. The person I was last week is not the person I am today. We're very similar, but there are differences because I've had a whole week of experience under my belt from last week that impacts how I show up and how I do the things today. So we are a different person at all times. We're always evolving. We're always growing, we're always learning, we're always changing. We are always changing. So while you're good enough, yes, in the moment, right now, to do the things, to try to pursue what it is that you want to pursue, to become who it is that you want to become, you are absolutely good enough for all of that. You are also not finished. You're not complete. And in that sense, with that view, with that perspective, you're not good enough because you're not done. You're just not done. It's like if you were to make dinner and you were to make this like soup. It's starting to get chilly here in Utah. Yesterday was a cold, rainy day, and today is going to just be chilly. So if you were to make a soup and you're cutting the carrots for the soup, the carrots, once they're cut, they're good enough to be in the soup, right? They're good enough to go in. Great. They're cut, they're peeled, they're cut. They're good enough to go in. But the carrots on themselves, like by themselves, when the end result, the end desire is this soup, the carrots by themselves are not good enough. They're just not. They're good enough to go in. They're good enough to go started, but they're not the end result. They're not finished. The whole thing is not finished. So you're good enough and you're not. You're good enough to keep growing. You're good enough to learn. You're good enough to start. You're good enough to be on the path to becoming who it is that you want to become. And you're very much not done. And when you know that you're not done, then although you're good enough, you have room to grow. You have things to do. You've got a potential to fulfill. You have a path, you have a journey. We got to go forward on it. And so you can't think of being good enough as being done, being complete, being this is it, we've arrived. You have not arrived. And in my mind, there is no arrival because anytime we become a person that we want to become, we've reached the goal, we've had the accomplishment, we've done the thing, there's something else. And it's not like this incessant, like, "Ugh, I can't believe there's more." It's not supposed to be heavy. It's not supposed to be this, like, never satisfied. It's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be like, well, what else can I do? What else am I capable of? If I can accomplish this thing, if I can do this thing, what else can I do? How else can I grow? How else can I have an impact? What else can I create? What else? It's more of this like excitement, this more of this like growing into yourself every day, growing into more of who you want to be every day. So it's not this like heavy thing, this endless to-do list, this endless task list, this, we're never going to get there, because getting there isn't the point. The point is the growth along the way. The point is becoming. And you're going to hear that on the podcast over and over and over and over again, because it is so deep in my bones that the point is becoming. That is the point of all of it. That's the point of growing up. That's the point of going to college. That's the point of, going to work. That's the point of taking a shower. The whole thing is about becoming. Whether or not you recognize it, whether or not you take the time to intentionally choose your path of becoming, that's the whole point. And that is complete when you're on your last breath. That is complete when you're on your final moment. Up until that final moment, it is not complete. And what a joy to continue to become, to continue to better yourself, to continue to learn, to continue to grow, to continue to explore your potential and to see what you're capable of and create on this planet and experience the things on this planet. And you're absolutely, absolutely good enough to have those experiences, to create the things, to explore your potential, to see what you're capable of. You are totally 100% as you are right now good enough for all of that. But you are not done. You're good enough to take a break. You're good enough to rest. When things are hard and they suck and, all the things, you are so good enough to chill out, reset, switch into survival mode for a little bit, maybe do a little bit of coasting. You're good enough for that too. And you can't stay there forever. You cannot stay there forever. Because if you're not intentionally moving forward, or if you're not moving forward, you don't ever stay still, right? Have you noticed that things just, they tend to either go forward or they tend to either go backward. They don't just stay the same. Nothing stays the same ever, because time is continually going. And so time is going to either drag you unwillingly, kicking and screaming, or you're going to link arms with time hand in hand and you're going to be like, let's do this thing. I know I'm on this journey of becoming, and I want to do that with intention. I want to do it on purpose. I want to become, this version of me because that's who I want to be. And you're absolutely good enough to be that person. You're absolutely good enough to show up in the way that you want to show up. You're absolutely good enough to step into being that person. And it might take a bit to fully be that person. It might take stepping into that person over and over and over and over again. And you start to wonder, like, am I even making progress? Like, am I even doing this thing? Like, is this even happening? And it's okay that it's frustrating. It's okay that it takes time, because it's all about the becoming anyway. And when things are frustrating and when you struggle and when you feel like you're just stuck waist deep in quicksand, and no matter how hard you try to get out, you just sink farther and farther, it's just the world asking you, are you serious? Are you serious about your path of becoming? Are you serious about being the person that you want to become? Are you serious? Because if you're not serious, then yeah, life is going to knock you down. Yeah, people are going to show up and be rude. Yeah, it's going to be even harder. But if you're absolutely serious, then it doesn't matter because you know that this is just a part of the journey and you get to continually show up and be that person because you're already good enough, even though you're not complete. So this discussion with Jake was really interesting because he kind of took the side of like, well, you're not good enough. Like, that's just that. You're not good enough. And I was like, okay, hold the phone. Like, you cannot tell our daughters, and they're sitting in the back seat, right? My oldest one's ear hustling this whole conversation. And I'm like, you cannot tell our daughters that they're not good enough. Of course, they have room to grow. They've got things to do. They have so much ahead of them to grow into. They do. They're not complete by any means. But if they go off to school every day, if they are going off to school with one of these thoughts in their heads, it better well be, I'm good enough. Because I want them to know that they're good enough to do their best. They're good enough to fail. They're good enough to have a struggle and keep trying and keep struggling and succeed, or keep falling on their faces and keep going anyway. And once I brought it into a little bit of perspective of like, which one would you like our daughters to believe? I think my point came through because both sides are true. Both sides are true. Absolutely, both sides are true. You are not complete. You have things to do. You have a potential within you. You have things that you are capable of. You have a purpose and a path and a whole journey. So you're not good enough. You're not. And you are. You're good enough to do the thing. You're good enough to be on the path. You're good enough to do your best. You're good enough to fail. You're good enough to keep trying. You are good enough to become the person that you want to become. And just because you are good enough right now to start becoming that person doesn't mean that it's going to happen overnight. Doesn't mean that it's just going to be handed to you. It means that you are good enough for the task. You're good enough to go for it. You're good enough to be on that journey. So this was a rather quick one, and I feel like I kind of beat a dead horse, but I want you to know that this was really important to me as Jake and I had this conversation. And I don't know, this is a backstory. I might have told this before, but it's been coming to my mind recently, and so I'm gonna go off on this tangent because it feels right. One of the reasons that I started this podcast, of course, there was the reason of like, I feel like I've got all this inside me that I need to share and blah, blah, blah. But one of the reasons that I started this podcast was like kind of dark, but it was like, if I met an untimely death, heaven forbid, I wanted my daughters to have something that helped them on their journey. I wanted them to have these recordings forever of mom helping them out throughout their life, helping them shift perspectives, encouraging them, loving on them from the grave. Okay. Luckily, I'm still here. Things are good. Where everything's fine. So it's kind of a dark reason to start a podcast, but I don't really care because at the end of the day, I wanted them to have something that they could turn to that was like mom in their ear, still there for them. And I know that's kind of weird. I'm not trying to like mother anybody. That's awkward. But how helpful would it be for everyone to walk around feeling like, okay, I'm not complete, but I'm good enough. I'm not complete, but I'm good enough. 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 I'm not finished. I'm not complete. There's a path. There are things to do. I have a potential inside me, and I'm good enough for all of that. There are things that I want to do. There are things that I want to experience, and I'm good enough, and I'm good enough, and I'm good enough, and I can do this. What if everybody walked around with that going on in their head instead of, I suck, I fail, I can't believe I messed up again, I can't believe that didn't work again, I can't believe I'm still sucking at life, I can't believe I just suck. Ugh. Right? Like, no thanks. People, like when we walk around like that, we're grumpy, we're irritable, we don't we're in our head, we're not being our best selves when those are our predominant thoughts. But when our predominant thoughts can be something like, I'm good enough, I can do this, things are possible. It might be hard, it might not look possible, but I have this potential inside of me and I'm good enough to fulfill that. I'm good enough to strive. I'm good enough to do the thing that I want to do. You're good enough. You are good enough. So here's your big takeaway. You are not complete and you are good enough. You are good enough. You are good enough. You are good enough. Big thank you to Jake for the conversation in the car that brought this podcast to life. Thank you for being here on the podcast and for listening. And I hope that you go out through the rest of your day with this feeling of, I'm good enough. I'm not complete and I'm good enough. I totally love you. Bye for now.